This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my recap and review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 20, The Foundling. And this is a really good episode. There's a few questions that it raises, but I overall enjoyed it. So let's go to the recap. There is going to be spoilers, so if you have not watched the episode yet, please don't watch this. And let's go straight into it. The members of the Mandalorian covert begin to train and go through different practicing of motions and using their weapons. Meanwhile, Grogu is watching crabs crawl across the beach, and Din goes to Grogu to have him do some training and go against one of the young Mandalorians. And in this, they are going to be doing a combat scenario to try and get Grogu some training. They are going to do a scenario where they use dart launchers to fire paint darts at each other, and whoever manages to get 3 on the opposing Mandalorian will be the one who wins. And initially, Grogu doesn't want to do much with his powers and is hit twice, but after a pep talk from Din, he jumps over the young Mandalorian, jumping back and shoots him 3 times, winning the match. The young Mandalorian walks off, but is quickly taken by a large bird, and Din, Pez, and some other Mandalorians take off to follow. Their jetpacks run out of fuel, and they're not able to continue the pursuit, but Bo-Katan and her fighter continues on, following after the bird and learning where its nest is. Returning to the covert, Bo, the armorer, Din, and Paz begin to plan out their mission, and Bo-Katan is going to leave the war party to rescue the young Mandalorian. Both Din and Paz, along with a group of Mandalorians, will follow. Grogu stays behind and watches as the armorer crafts him a new piece of armor, and the sparks from the crafting reminds Grogu of how he escaped from Order 66. Around 30 years prior to this, the Jedi Knights at the Jedi Temple are beginning to be cut down by clone troopers who are storming the temple. Grogu is pushed into an elevator to be able to escape. Making it outside, he is met by Jedi Master Kelleran Beck, who begins to fight off the clone troopers and is quickly able to commandeer a speeder so they can escape from the doomed Jedi Temple. And as they flee, a LAAT gunship begins to pursue them, flying through the levels of Coruscant. They try to avoid it and are eventually able to make it into a tunnel, destroying the gunship by crashing it into a train. They head towards a landing platform where they meet up with a group of Nabooian guards. Another gunship lands there. As Beck gets onto the ship and prepares it for launch, the guards are quickly cut down as he manages to take off and escapes from Coruscant's atmosphere. Pursued by V-Wings, he manages to make it to hyperspace. Once Grogu returns from the flashback, he is given a piece of armor by the armorer, which has his clan signet of the Mudhorn on it. Returning to Bo's war party, they land nearby, not wanting to startle the bird so it doesn't kill the young Mandalorian. They make camp so they can assault the bird in the morning, knowing there is no way for them to get up, and be able to successfully battle it at night. Surrounding their fire, they pass out food and each go off to eat on their own. Although Bo is left with the fire since she is the leader of the party, she gets to get the place of honor by the fire. Beginning to scale the mountain, the Mandalorians climb up, and once they reach the top, Pez charges in, since this young Mandalorian is his son, and this startles the bird, which begins to attack them and takes his son into the air to try and get away. And while Bo-Katan is trying to save him, she is knocked loose, losing a part of her armor. Din flies in and manages to stab the giant bird, knocking the young Mandalorian loose, and using his jetpack, he's able to rescue him. As the rest of the Mandalorians take down the giant bird, Din reunites Paz with his son, and Paz is extremely grateful for this, as Din and the rest return in victory. The Mandalorians celebrate this and see that the bird's young children have been taken in by the Mandalorians to be used by them. Bo and the armor begin to discuss things as she gets a new part of her armor forged by her, and with it she decides to put in the signet of the mythosaur to go along the Night Owl one. And as they begin to discuss things, Bo asks about her seeing the mythosaur and not fully understanding the armor, thinks it's a vision, and simply says this is the way. Once Bo said that she saw a real mythosaur in the living waters. And honestly, this was a really nice episode. It was really cool to see stuff going into just Mandalorian culture and how these Mandalorians live. It was pretty nice to see stuff like that. There was some odd stuff with the bird and them not trying to immediately take it down, but also not really having any defenses against it. I think that was pretty minor, and with it, I really did enjoy everything with it. The stuff to Order 66 sets up some interesting things, including the fact that Ahmed Best has returned to Star Wars, and it was really good to see him here, and that he still wants to be involved with the Star Wars community after everything with Jar Jar Binks happened, and that was all pretty tragic, with him being treated pretty poorly through that, but I'm so glad, and it seems like so many people are so glad to see him return. And this sets up kind of an awkward little thing where he actually hosted a Star Wars game show, which was set in universe where Jedi were completing their trials, and those kids were all, well, real people because it was a game show just set in Star Wars. And with it, it's a little weird that they basically have implied that all those, well, real people would actually have died in Order 66, and also kind of confirmed that show is canon, although I think that it's, not specifically fully canon. I'm not too sure. I haven't really watched it, but that's pretty weird. And if those young kids who were in it actually did exist, they would have all been taken out in Order 66, and I would wonder what they would think of it. And it also sets up a really weird thing where he exists at the exact same time as Jar Jar and has a really good connection with Naboo, so that's another just really weird little thing and kind of funny, but it's still kind of interesting. I really think that, honestly, this was a pretty interesting episode, and although not that much happened, it is, in terms of, plot development, it was pretty interesting, but this also goes into the fact that Grogu really hasn't been doing anything with this. This flashback easily could have been placed in any other show, and it didn't have to be part of this. It could have been triggered really by anything, or it could have been in some other show where Luke was with him. Not too sure, but this definitely goes towards the part that Grogu was probably forced back in, which I talked about last week. And yeah, honestly, I really did enjoy this episode. Can't wait to see where this goes. We're halfway done with the season, and not really sure where we're going to be going next. There is one more thing we know is going to happen, which is the attack on Navarro. But besides that, we really have no idea what's going to be going on. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. But I want to know what you think. I just want to finish it up quickly because I keep getting interrupted in this video, and I had to have a bunch of cuts where I didn't want to cut. So I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments. And also on the next episode of Legends of Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.